Okay, so I tried to post about a 25-minute Torland match, about 3.5 gigs, took about 28 hours, and then YouTube said they couldn't convert it. I hate it when they do that. So this one's about mid-size, and I figured, well, maybe I can manage to get this one posted. I'll try the Torland one again later. This is Sinkhole, one I don't do real often. It's a map with very few vehicles. You get a couple of manas, and there's some turrets in there that nobody uses. This is a map you get to use some of your on-foot deathmatch stuff with, mostly rockets. I use a lot of rockets on this match. In this map, I tend to use rockets. I tend to use rockets a lot anytime I'm stuck on foot because it's practically the only thing I can hit anybody with. I'm pretty good with rockets, mainly because you can load them up and wait for something to sneak up on you and then whip around and kill them like that. I mean, I didn't know he was going to be there. I just made sure I had some rockets ready to unload on him when he got there, that's all. I mean, I knew somebody would be somewhere, like that guy. The other tactic I know is that if you see the guy with the orb dancing around there, you should concentrate all the fire available to you on him. And if I moved a little bit quicker and fired on him a little more, I might have got him. But we did okay here. I should have been a little bit quicker to grab that orb. Well, I think I did grab it this time. Okay. And I might manage to kill the enemy guy there and take the node there. See, that's what you want to do right there. That's what it's all about. So this map is set up. It's very simple. You know, your prime, their prime. Oh, one center node, your core, their core. Oh, you don't want to do this though. I didn't even know you could do that until just now. I just got stuck behind her core. You don't want to do that. And this was looking a little shaky. Didn't want to be down here either, but I did manage to get away. Grab that health there. And ended up in a pretty good position, once again holding the center. This again is what you want to do. I mean, every map there's roles you can play. On this map, an excellent role for you is to grab this orb and hold the center node with it if you can. Now, it's a matter of judgment, you know, whether it's better to hold the node or just cap it. You know, there's a time to cap the node and there's a time to hold the node, and it's a good, you know, it's good if you know the difference. You know, it comes down to timing. You know, you have to look at that map in the upper right-hand corner. Be aware of where the enemy node is. You don't always know where the enemy orb is, but if you know where the enemy orb is, then assuming that the enemy knows what they're doing, if you know where the enemy orb is, you've probably got a pretty good idea of what they're trying to do with it, which is usually going to be trying. In this case, there's only one node. The only one node, they're going to be trying to take this node with it. You know. So you know you want to time it. You know, it's if you see the red orb approaching, well, you know, take everything into consideration. You know, if there's no one defending the node with you, and you've got the orb, and you've got 2 hit points, and you see the enemy approaching, well, you might want to try to duke it out with them and see if you can kill them all. However many there are, with your 2 hit points and your orb, knowing that they're going to zero in right on you. Or you could cap the node. Actually, you might not have that option. If the node is fully charged, you probably wouldn't have the notion to cap it. But you know, if you cap the node, it shields the node for about 5 or 10 seconds, and if you're in a real weak position and you've got the orb and you can cap it, that's not there's a time to do that because it shields the node and it at least holds them off. You know, even if they get the orb right there, you know, right after you cap it, they can't actually take the node back for a good 5 or 10 seconds, in which gives your time, you know, gives your team time to get it back together. Anyway. This match ended up a lot closer than what it looks like here. We're pretty much way ahead, but it's not unusual for teams to stage comebacks. You know, part of that may be because somebody joins in. Part of it may just be because they've reached down and got hold of their nuts, got their shit together. Basically. hard to tell sometimes. I mean, I should spend more time looking at the scoreboard to keep track of things like that. Also, you know, when somebody enters, you notice you get a little message in there that tells you, like that one just there, somebody just left or entered, I'm not sure. But anyway, this didn't go into overtime. I think it went to about 15 minutes. But yeah, you know, if you're the kind of person, if you don't like warfare because of all the vehicles, this is the kind of map you probably ought to vote on. This map tends to get voted on a lot. Well, it gets tended to voted on if there's fewer people on the server because it doesn't require that many people. It tends to get voted on when people get tired of the vehicle maps, or if one team is getting the snot kicked out of them on a lot of vehicle maps, they might vote this in just because it's not unusual for teams that do badly in vehicles to do better in this map, because the emphasis is more on deathmatch skills at center. And there was a very nice play. See, somebody capped and then immediately ran over and suicided on the red orb, you know? I mean, there's some very simple elements in these matches. You just have to know how to put them all together like that. You know, seeing how they took that role, you know, I figured, well, you know, my best thing for me to do is to hang back here and hold the center, which in that case didn't work out too well for me. Of course, when you spawn at the core, it's always a real good idea to check and see if the orb is available there, and you want to grab it and take it forward if it is, usually. If you see someone firing at the node like that with Link, it's not a bad idea to stand right next to them and fire Link also, because that way your Links get amplified. They do more damage. Here again, I saw that orb to the left, but I figured somebody'd suicide on it. So once again, I'm just loading up on rockets and unloading them all at once. Again, not working out too well for me. At this point, we're looking a little weak. We're still way ahead, but you know, we're dying a lot. Red's holding center. They're probably going to start doing damage on our core here, which they will. The manas. How well you do in the mana kind of depends on, you know, how smart the enemy is. In this case, yeah, they're carrying admirals, so you got to be careful in the manas. Orb was coming up. I went ahead and grabbed it. There's kind of a decorum about that, you know. You go up to grab the orb. It's a little impolite to jump up and beat somebody else out of it. Of course, sometimes that's what you have to do. But yeah, see, notice, you know, I depend heavily on these rockets. Some people like to use the shock rifle because they're good at it, you know, that's why, you know. Some people, like me, we have to go with rockets, or flak, or God knows I have to use a stinger once in a while, although I have to agree ultimately that the stinger, yeah, it's not that great. I mean, you know, it's okay. But yeah, ultimately, you probably want to avoid the stinger in most situations. I mean, not that powerful. Although if somebody's shooting at you at fairly long range with the rockets, you know, you can usually beat them with the stinger. Of course, then he's probably, oh, you see, I just managed to cap it. I didn't think I was going to get that, but I did pick up the orb, and the red orb went down about half a second before I died. So that did help us a little bit. We're still losing points, but not losing them quite as fast as we could. And still not doing too good. I, you know, once again went for the hold the orb around the center, hold the orb and try to hold center with it. But again, that didn't work out too well for me. See, there's somebody waiting for the orb. You know, I'm not going to sit there and fight over it with them. I'm going to go find something else to do. Which in this case means, well, I should have stayed and defended as I turned around and decided to leave. You notice how that player, he used his rockets. He knocked the enemy manta into me and killed me with it. That's a pretty disgusting move. A little bit humiliating to die that way. The node is shielded. I should have waited a couple of seconds, but I figured I was taking fire. I probably wouldn't have lasted anyway. But when the node is shielded, you don't want to just jump down there. Okay, there's a character who's jumped up behind the core. He probably could have got a little bit further down behind it. He could have finished us off there, but the center went down, so he was out of luck.
Oh, I'm on fire.
This is where it's gonna get close. We're now behind. And there's a tendency to get a little disheartened in situations like this where you're way ahead and all of a sudden you're behind in that. But you know, you just have to keep chugging away there, and you ought to realize, well, yeah, you know, you're behind and it looks a little desperate, but you know, hell, they're down to 16 points. You know, they're not. You may be behind, but they're not that far from losing themselves, which is what it comes down to. And we're starting to get our stuff together again here now. Also, although we just suffered a rather serious setback there. Now there, I should have been a little bit quicker and jumped on that orb, but Red got to it and suicided on it. And this is where it's getting a little bit hectic. Both sides realize how close everything is. We're now ahead by 4 points, barely. But we're both concentrating very hard on trying to get hold of that center. I mean, because we know, you know, we both know, everybody here knows what's going on. Basically, yeah, see the orbs floating around. The center's being red's going to cap center about 3 times here. Okay, that time Nose was concentrating fire, getting their orb down. You know, not going to do me any good firing at the nose when he's got it covered like that. So we got to take him down. And in the midst of that, they brought us down to 1 point. So now at this point, I'm like, look, somebody needs to get up there and take fire on their nodes. That's going to be me, and that's how we're going to end this up. So, yeah, nice match. It's fun when you win them. Have a good evening.